Hello everyone and welcome to another video in the Swiss Alps How I Did It series, where I break down the why, how and what of my trip to the Jungfrau region. The idea being to help you should you want to add such an adventure to your attempts to make your life a story worth telling. This video is about the rail passes that I used, as what rail passes you purchase can be one of the more costly elements of your trip. This video is inevitably about dry economic choices, and there is no real way to avoid that. It's also concerning advice where I can't definitively tell you what you should do, but I can tell you how I got to the decision. There is then a bit of artistic judgment thrown in, along with the economic facts. If I start by explaining why and how I reached the decision, it should help you reach yours. I opted for two passes, the Swiss half-fare card and the Jungfrau regional pass. I can already hear some seasoned travellers to the region crying out that I had both these passes and that I'm a complete fool. But it did make sense for me. The half-fare card pass does what it says on the tin. It gets you a 50% discount on trains, boats, buses, city and mountain transport. The last one being key, as that mountain transport was also pretty much completely covered by my Jungfrau regional pass. The card is valid for a month. Since you're still paying per trip, but with a hefty discount, there is obviously a point where you trip over into having something like a Swiss travel pass being better. Similarly, you may not need a Jungfrau regional pass because of this discount, depending on what you're planning to do there. It's important to note that the half-fare card also gives you a hefty discount on the price of the Jungfrau regional pass itself. So factor that into the calculations. The discount is 45 Swiss francs or more, depending on how long you're getting the Jungfrau regional pass for. The half-fare card is 90 Swiss francs. I viewed it this way. Did the half-fare card pass work out if I just went to and from Geneva to Interlaken? What if I went to Lucerne and Zermatt during my time in Switzerland? I worked out that the pass was pretty much worth it just for the trip backwards and forwards to Interlaken, and also the money off my Jungfrau regional pass. And if I did go to Lucerne or Zermatt, which I didn't, it would actually make me even more of a return. This way it pans out meant that I had both passes. Keep in mind that all train prices you will see on the web and on the mobile app in that previous video I did are with a half-fare card. So any prices you see, double them if you don't have one. So you can basically see what I did here. I planned out every journey I would take and worked out if that made the pass worthwhile. This is the only true way of doing it, even though it is a bit of a pain. And it's quite easy if you're just travelling to and from one city, but you can appreciate the Jungfrau regional pass was a bit more complex, because I was going to hop on and off, jump around the Jungfrau region on a whim. So you just have to make the best estimate of what you're going to need. Key facts about the Jungfrau regional pass. It's perfect if you're only travelling in the Jungfrau region, or it is only valid there. In, around, up and down between Interlaken, Lauterbrunnen, Wengenmüren and Grindelwald, as well as the mountain cable cars. It also gives a discount on some of the pricey private attractions like Top of Europe. It lasts 3 to 8 consecutive days. It is only available in the summer. You can see from this map what it covers, and if you watch a previous video where I described the apps I used and how I use the trains, you can see it covers all the journeys I took in the region. The pass certainly has an ease of use factor that may be worth a certain amount, even if you can't totally justify it economically. I could get on and off trains, cable cars and buses without ever stopping to buy a ticket. I could also spontaneously choose to do things and change my plans without feeling like I was going to be hit by an extra charge to do so. You need to map out as best as possible what train journeys and cable cars you're going to use, and if you're going to do any of the big ticket private attractions like Top of Europe. You can then work out what you'll not be paying for if you have the Jungfrau regional pass, and if that makes it worth it. The challenge with this is you'll be using transport options and a weather app to remain flexible, so you'll just need to get as close to what your itinerary would be as possible. When I worked it out, I decided a Jungfrau Regional Pass was worth it. Keep in mind I actually did some train journeys I had down once many times, such as Wengen to Grindelwald, and there was probably unaccounted for journeys as I remained flexible. As an example, times where I decided I'd walked far enough on a hike and jumped off at the next stage and got a bus or a train. The fact I was doing Top of Europe heavily slanted the pass into being worthwhile for me, as the discount on that was substantial. Map out your routes and their costs as best as possible. Add in any private attractions the Jungfrau Regional Pass gives a discount on, and just see if the money works out. If not, weigh up whether the difference is something you want to pay for the convenience, as I believe there is some advantage in that. I've linked some websites in the comments which contain all the information and even access to spreadsheets if you want to get really scientific on it. It would be a harder decision for me in the future, because of course I wouldn't have the hefty discount from Top of Europe, because the chances are I wouldn't be going there, which substantially helped contribute to making the Jungfrau Regional Pass, more effective. The frustrating thing about both passes is it seemed to be only available in A4 paper format, which is not the best thing to carry around with you. They did survive the trip. I was feared they'd get torn or get wet and disintegrate, so that wasn't a problem, but I'd have loved them on my phone. I mean, any train tickets I did have to purchase outside of the Jungfrau region were on my phone and staff could scan it. That would have been great if the pass worked that way. There are rail passes that cover larger regions of Switzerland, including the whole of Switzerland, or even internationally, of course, with Interrail, but they are only relevant if you're travelling around more of Switzerland or across Europe over larger periods of time. Since I wasn't doing this, they weren't valid to me, but it does make the landscape of deciding more complicated, as even the Swiss Travel Pass gives you discounts on certain mountain transport, some of the private attractions, so the variables just increase, unfortunately, and it becomes a bit more complicated. But if you're travelling to the Jungfrau region, doing that, and then travelling back to your airport, that is the model I was adopting. I loved having the Jungfrau Regional Pass, and I was glad it worked out for me economically, because it really worked out for me actually on the trip. Psychologically, it just works for me better if, when I'm doing things dynamically and planning things on the fly, I don't feel like I'm being hit for extra charges to do so, and that was beautiful. It really worked out. If you've been to the Jungfrau region and used the pass yourself, certainly post a comment on how you found it. Certainly like and subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos, and let's make life a story worth telling together.